new season, Season 18 of Spec-5 World Tour rolls on to Brands Hatch, Round 2, live here on HJBC. David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. We're delighted to have you with another exciting, action-packed, door-to-door 45 minutes of Spec-5 racing ahead of us, Reese.
Absolutely. We are here at Brands Hatch for the second round of the championship for 2025, and we're looking forward to the racing that is still to come. Daytona was a slipstream fest, but Brands Hatch a bit more of a driver's circuit. Plenty of fast corners around this place, and basically one good overtaking opportunity, one clear overtaking opportunity. Regardless, it's going to be a fun round. We'll have to wait and see if the front runners from last round can maintain their form.
Do you have a favourite Brands Hatch fact for us at this point?
My favourite fact is it originally opened as basically an egg shape in a field, and it was fully grass, run in the opposite direction for human-powered bicycles. That is my Brands Hatch fact of the day.
Nice. An egg in the middle of a field. That must have made it free range. Now, we go qualifying ahead of the 45-minute race, 15 minutes, and the drivers get 4 laps, so it's a lot of time, actually, to get out and do 4 flying laps. We'll see how they approach it. Jared Collins is out on track, so is championship leader Michael Folds. We have 2 classes of driver, Pro and Open, be denoted by red and blue. And how would you describe this weather today other than English?
I don't think I'd describe it any other way, honestly. It's foggy out there, and it's looking rather cold in terms of track temperature. 22 degrees Celsius out there on the circuit at the moment, 71 Fahrenheit, only 19 degree air temperature. So it's optimal conditions for keeping those tires at their optimum heat and pressure. But I think the other side of that coin is they are very cold on the way out of the pits, so you need to be careful on your first flying lap or so.
The consolation, though, is that it's also breezy, so that all of that cold can go right through you. We're beginning some flying laps. In this case, Michael Folds drops down through turn 1. The track rises back up and into the hairpin at the top of the hill. Inside tyres on the curb the whole way round before you drop down to Graham Hill Bend. For Michael Folds with 4 laps in his back pocket still to run. Perhaps just a tiny bit of caution to track limits initially on this first run.
Yeah, track limits fairly self-explanatory at Brands Hatch. It has grass lining the circuit the whole way around, so the track limits are pretty clear. The curbs are also quite thin in a lot of places as well, though up the top of the circuit here there's quite a few places where you can run a little beyond the curbs, AstroTurf on the exit of a couple of them, but you still need to be pinch perfect on your way through Hawthorne here with Michael Folds. Plenty of curb to be used there as well at the old Dingledell Bend. And then Sterling's has quite a bit of curb on the inside and outside you can use, plus a bit of camber as well. And then down to Clark, there's basically no curb to be used. It's incredibly thin on the way in and no curb on the way out, so you need to nail it. So let's see what Folds can do here as he brings it round to set our first lap time of the session. Well, Jared Cullinans is going to set the first one, but Michael Folds immediately to the low 138s there. Good pace setting.
Rick Wishon leads open class at the minute. Kirill Bondar, Chota Piero as well with some good times early out of the gates. We've only had 9 times count. Mark Kruger's didn't, so maybe he overstepped some track limits. Mitchell Peak as well having a lap time disallowed. Rui Coimbra too. So that is a factor to keep in mind in this qualifying here at Brands Hatch. There are a few places they might be running a little bit wide. I think most of it's actually going to be on this Grand Prix loop around the far end of the racetrack. And with that cold track temperature, they're still building it up, and they're still all looking like they're tracking quicker on their second flying lap than their first. Includes Requishon briefly having the purple third sector here. So he's flying. So's Michael Folds. So's Donnie Moffat. Track limits here, I think, is what is going to do people in there, and Dingle Dell.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very easy to push the margins and overstep them when you go around a lap here. But it's a really big lead that Michael Folds has gotten away to at this stage of qualifying. He is over 8/10 ahead of the next fastest car, but worth pointing out that Rick Wishon is an open class driver, and we'll be seeing more times come in. Speaking of, it looks like Jared Cullinan's just improving to P2, 138.8. Mitchell Peake puts in his first time, a 138.9, and Folds improves to a 138.0. So, yeah, Folds is looking like the real pace setter here at the moment.
But again, with plenty of time in this session, there are some drivers we'll see begin to factor in later on. Like Peter Rasokis has no time yet. Eugenio Pellicci has no time yet. This is on board with Mitchell Peake. See, yeah, gosh, it looks dark and gloomy and a little bit of fog coming out of the trees. So you can trust the car to attack, heading up the hill.
Yeah, I think these conditions will suit them very nicely once they get a couple of laps in. Pellicci puts his first time on the board and gets up into 8th place, working out nicely for the moment, but still no one is able to get close to Michael Folds' 138.090. Looking at the practice times, Lincoln Fox was able to run faster. He and Folds setting laps in the 137s, but we haven't seen a proper time from Lincoln Fox just yet.
So Mitchell Peake will get to the line. The timing line is there where the flag man is. And it jumps up into the second outright, but still 7/10 of a second away from pole. Lincoln Fox, no time yet for the driver of the 48.
Starting his first lap, though, so it'll be interesting to see how he tackles this. Rui Coimbra's first time comes in, and he goes to P5 ultimately as Moffat improves to a 138.7. Now, Lincoln Fox was the fastest driver in practice, so he's got a lot of form to back himself up here. Got to try and nail the exit from this bend coming onto the Grand Prix loop, and this is the longest straight on the circuit. It's going to be a good slipstreaming opportunity in the race and could result in some moves as Pellicci goes to P2, and he has gotten to within 1/10 of Michael Folds.
Yeah, a couple of game-changing lap times coming in just now. Eugenio Pellicci, like you say, getting close to pole, and Michael Folds is off track. Donnie Moffat jumping up to 3rd. Odyssey Adams jumping up into 4th, so Mitchell Peake ended up back down into 5th, and we're still waiting on that time from Fox, negotiating the final 3rd of the lap. The Sterlings described the track limits and the curbs very well through there. It's an exciting corner when you get it right, but again, like on the Nordschleife at the carousel, you carry too much speed in, the banking spits you out, and then you feel like a right idiot for thinking you could commit as much as you did when you overstepped. Fox passed all of the buildings, the grandstands, the fans at the start-finish straight. Will that time count? It won't. And I don't know why.
Yeah, interesting there from Lincoln Fox. Hopefully he'll be able to get this particular lap in, coming down to Graham Hill Bend and just catching the grass on the way into the corner. It might have been there. Yeah, that is definitely an off track. You can't go into the grass there on the exit of that corner. You got to keep it on the AstroTurf for the lap to stay legal.
The British people will get very angry with you if you tear up their garden.
I certainly will.
Donny Moffat's in the pit lane. Eugenio Polici's on track and hasn't gone quicker with that effort. Got one more lap to try to eclipse Michael Folds, who I think is done out of this qualifying session. Jesse Adams is done. Final lap, very, very subtle improvement. Will sit in fourth. So who's got laps left in the bank? Mike Oswald does. Carl Genski's just started his final one. Lee Martin and Lincoln Fox have still got time. So does Michael Coates. So across this 15 minutes, we are fully spread out. What's Polici got here? That's PB through the first sector. There's still a chance, and you only need to find about a tenth, less than a tenth, to get on pole.
Yeah, oh, there's Lee Martin putting his next time in, and he rockets up from 26th to 18th, and that's still a fair way behind the open class pole position that Rick Wishon has. He's up in 9th overall, but there's plenty of gains potentially to be made in the 45-minute race to come, which will have a pit stop for the drivers to contend with. Polici's final lap here. We'll have to wait and see if he can improve on that 1:38.16. Still one of only a couple of drivers who's managed to actually get within the margin that Michael Folds has managed to put across the line for Polici, and it's a 1:38.2. So consistent with his current pace, but not faster than his quickest lap time. So he will have to settle for second at best.
It's Mike Oswald completing lap 3. New PB there. Sits 11th for the moment. Track conditions, are they moving in favor of going quicker, or are we losing the track, as they say? Not a whole lot of change. Wind slightly variable, perhaps dropping just a tiny bit. Mostly cloudy, but all I've seen is cloud. If there's blue sky up there anywhere, I can't spot it. Comes Fox.
Yeah, looks like
still no time yet.
Yeah, this is not looking
up to
good
the top
for...
to pole.
Oh.
Lincoln Fox's lap hits perfect and moves Lincoln Fox to the front of the field.
Okay, that took me by surprise. I thought for a second Lincoln Fox would have that lap not count. I was about to say, oh, he's only got one lap left to make this work, but he didn't need that extra lap. He is now ahead of Michael Folds by 11 thousandths of a second for overall pole position. Looks like we can still potentially see times from Lee Martin and Mike Oswald. And also Michael Coates has gotten his run started at the very end of the session. We expect Coates to be up there as well as he comes to the line, end of lap 2. But it looks like the lap time has not counted for him there. This is going to be Coates' last opportunity. There's only 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining in the session.
Yep, it's this. We'll start at the tail of the grid, which currently numbers 30 cars today. You don't want that. You said, your words, only one real overtaking opportunity around here at Brands Hatch. If you start at the back of the grid and you made one spot every lap, still every chance you wouldn't get to the front in time. So that's why Michael Coates would like to qualify better than none. And Lee Martin about to finish his final lap, sits 19th outright and doesn't improve.
So that's the end of things for Lee Martin there.
Lincoln Fox couldn't go any quicker, not that it mattered. So how's them track limits for Michael Coates just there? If that's it, you'll be kicking yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure, since it's solo qualifying, whether there's a hard cut to the end of the session or if Coates will be able to finish this next lap that he's going to start.
I thought heats was always hard cut and solo was always hard cut. You had to have open qualifying and no heats to see a checkered flag.
Well, looks like Michael Coates will not get a lap time in then. He will start all the way at the back of the grid. Looking forward to seeing a potential... Oh, hang on a minute. He just went to P5 on that one, so...
Apparently you are allowed to kick up that little bit of dust. And a 138.717 will count. Michael Coates will be on the third row.
All right. Well, things working out okay for Michael Coates there. He'll join Fox, Folds, Polici and Moffat, along with Adams, Peak, Culnins, Coimbra and Fike to make it an all-pro top 10. And our overall, our open class pole position going to Rick Wishon there in 11th. So we will see Lincoln Fox start on that pole position with Michael Folds alongside. Polici and Moffat are your second row. Coates and Adams on row 3. Mitchell Peake and Jared Culnins 7th and 8th, with Rui Coimbra and Geordie Fike rounding out your top 10. In 11th place, Rick Wishon has your open class pole with Jason Stalker in P12 alongside. Then we have Mike Oswalt and Jerry DePiero, with Kirill Bonda starting alongside David Starb to round out your top 16. Top 20 completed by Sean Hayes, Cameron Frederick, Todd Martin and Lee Martin. Then we get outside the top 20. Peter Rusokis in 21st place, with Kyle Genski down very low there in 22nd place. He and Brian Jabelski will be trying to work their way up, with Paul Murgatroyd in between them. Rob Conahan starts 25th alongside Travis Hewitt. Then we have Leonardo Guerra, Mark Kruger, Jake DeGrand and Jordan Flowers making our 30 cars in this field, David.
Yeah, that's our 30. Lincoln Fox is on pole. Championship leader Michael Folds is in second. We'll get a full pace lap here. 45 minutes with a compulsory pit stop in the middle. Polici and Moffat's teammates on row 2 there. Let's look at the championship standings with just one race completed.
Indeed. So Michael Folds won the first race at Daytona. Polici, Fox, Coimbra and Coates rounding out your top 5 there, with this basically being the finishing order for those top pro drivers at the first particular round. Mitchell Peake should stand to gain a bit if he can stay in the fight here at the front at Brands Hatch, but Michael Folds and Lincoln Fox look like they, with Eugenio Polici, are going to be the protagonists of this season.
Still some drop rounds to be counted, so never say never. You could have missed round 1 and still feature in the championship if you turn it on from here on out. In the open class points, Jerry DePiero leads the way from Travis Hewitt and Todd Martin. Mark Kruger, Lee Martin, Eric Schulhoff, Paul Murgatroyd, Peter Rusokis, Jake DeGrand and Rick Wishon is that top 10. And 106 points for Michael Folds includes all of the little bonuses like most laps led, pole position, fastest lap, all the little things is how he got a really big haul of points out of Daytona. And in Mr. Clean at Daytona, lots of people were very clean. Brian Jabelski, Lee Martin, Mark Kruger, Michael Folds, Geordie Fike, Todd Martin, Eugenio Polici and Eric Schulhoff. 0 incidents yet this season. Rui Coimbra and Kyle Genski and a few other drivers with 1. So we have to wait till we get to a track with more stringently enforced track limits, like maybe here, before that starts to get a little tougher in Mr. Clean.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a championship have an 8-way tie before, so that will certainly be interesting to keep track of throughout the season. Halfway around the formation lap then, and making their way around the Grand Prix loop. Some incredible elevation changes in this section, and there's plenty of potential for side-by-side in MX-5s through this part of the track, but now the drivers have to start thinking about the run into turn 1 at Paddock Hill. Bit of concrete on the exit that you can use, but all too easy to get into the gravel trap. The field will fall under the control of Lincoln Fox as we get this race started.
30 MX-5s lined up for the Spec-5 World Tour. It's live on HJBC. 45 minutes gets underway with Lincoln Fox on pole position. Michael Folds, good momentum around the outside, but it's a tough turn 1 here at Brands Hatch. The track drops away immediately at the apex. There's so much gravel out there that you just don't want to risk it, and that's why Lincoln Fox leads us, braking into the hairpin at the top of the hill. Massive concertina effect. Rick Wishon, Mike Oswalt, all getting a little bit of bumper-to-bumper contact there on the inside line before they then work their way down to Graham Hill Bend. The sunshine finally begins to peek out here in the UK as we get racing.
We certainly do. Side by side, a bit further back, there was an attempt by Odyssey Adams and Rui Coimbra to make a move on Mitchell Peak, but we have them moving onto the Grand Prix loop now, and the further you go back in the field, the more side by side you get. It looks like David Starb in the blue car has Kirill Bonda for close company, all both chasing Jerry DePiero. The inside line will be open for Kirill Bonda, but I don't think there's going to be much he can do there. Boxed in with the car in front. He'll maintain that side by side though. It's all right-handers across the top of the circuit here, and it seems that David Starb is holding strong around the outside.
You can see how much time it's costing them. It's cost them 5 or 6 car lengths to the next car in front, and that's out wide and into the grass. No grip there. Coming back onto the inside of Sterling's. David Starb will end up just dropping behind. Creates a gap between 14th place Jerry DePiero and Kirill Bondar now in 15th. Starb might lose another one here, but around the outside, super dangerous place to be for Cameron Frederick in that final corner. Our first lap completed. Lincoln Fox still leads us, but Michael Folds very close for company. Polici and Moffat still holding on to their 3rd and 4th. Michael Coates in 5th. Pete did get a spot on the opening lap up into 6th.
Yeah, he certainly did. You want most positions gained of anyone. It looks like it's Kyle Genske for the moment. He's broken into the top 20, up 3 positions. Genske was a huge factor in the open class last season. He's been moved up to the pro class thanks to his pace and his points total. And let's see if he has any chance of moving past Sean Hayes here, as a pack has started to form from 15th on back. The field is basically broken into 4 distinct packs. The top 5, then 6th to 14th, then 15th to 22nd, and 23rd to 28th. Leonardo Guerra and Jake de Grande drifting off the back of the main pack for the moment. So that's how things stand in this field at the moment. Things starting to heat up for Kyle Genske here. He gets up the inside of Sean Hayes, but once again, the outside line holds strong there. But we briefly checked in on the lead. Things are starting to heat up a bit between Fox and Folds. Polici and Moffat catching up too. Michael Coates still a factor in P5. They're starting to break away.
Yeah, really quick pace up front here as it settles into its rhythm and the laps begin to complete. Michael Folds still just staying within 1 car length of the race lead. That's a good run through turn 1 that forces Lincoln Fox to defend. We go side by side up front, top of the hill. Folds trying to cross back under, still sits back in 2nd, begins to cost them a tiny bit of time. The group that Mitchell Peak leads in 6th gets just a tiny bit closer. They all use the track limits and then a tiny bit more. There is a rallycross layout here, but we're not on it.
Yes, and I don't believe that the rallycross Oh yeah, the Rallycross ladder Brands Hatch is available in iRacing, but I think it's slightly different to the one that was used in the real world. Well, looks like Michael Folds has been unable to keep the pressure up on Lincoln Fox there, coming through the bottom half of the bowl that makes the Indy layout of the circuit, and sort of falling back into the clutches of Polici for a second here. Polici will try and drag Moffat with him. They are teammates after all, and a double podium certainly wouldn't go astray. So having said all of that, sorry, I was just going to say, it looks like the battling here in the top 5 has brought everyone behind them back into contention. Mitchell Peak isn't too far behind Coates now.
Yeah, the top 14 starting to come together. I'm seeing a couple of slowdown flags out there. So Mark Kruger's got one now. Jake DeGrand had one on the opening lap. So you might be cutting a little bit in the far side of the racetrack, particularly some of those blind apexes like Dingle Dell. That's side by side the race lead again. This time Michael Folds tries to go round the outside the whole way and just runs out of space. Tried to cross over under a previous time. Tried to go straight round the outside that time.
Oh.
Now gets to the inside here at Graham Hill Bend. We're going to be side by side. Michael Folds a tiny bit back, gets the inside, dives in there. Lincoln Fox kind of lets it go, and we do have a change for the race lead.
Excellent stuff from Michael Folds. He set that up perfectly, put Lincoln Fox sort of off his rhythm, but now Lincoln's going to try and fight back here, coming up into Hawthorne. This is the fastest point of the circuit, through the dip, on the brakes, and it looks like Folds is going to keep the lead. Lincoln Fox obviously realizing what many other drivers have demonstrated already today. Trying to hold the outside across the top here is not the way to go if you want to stay fighting for the lead. So let's see if Folds can consolidate this lead now. In the short term, he is making some gains.
Sun's out. You can all go ahead and cancel your Ryanair flights to Spain, English people. It's a beautiful day now all of a sudden. Let's see how long it lasts. A little bit of Melbourne, a little bit of UK, maybe 5 minutes. Michael Folds leads though. I saw Michael Coates in 5th pushing Donnie Moffat in 4th, so they were all trying to make sure that they can go with the speed that Folds and Fox have. I think those two drivers have just a tiny bit of pace compared to the rest of the field if they're not battling each other. So the rest of the field are trying to make sure they stay in contact.
We're starting to see a bit of movement for Jared Culnins meanwhile. It looks like he and Rui Coimbra fighting side by side into Graham Hill Bend, and Jared Culnins has the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:38.03 wide, as Geordie Fike sneaks through on the inside of the both of them. That is a fantastic opportunistic move there, and it's brought Jason Stalker into it as well.
Stalker leads the open class at the moment, having passed Rick Wishon. Oh, and now trying to push along. It's a bump draft.
Bump draft.
In both lanes. Telejega, Daytona, we don't need you because we've got MX5 racing at Brands Hatch.
Fantastic stuff. Best exit of them all from Hawthorne for Rui Coimbra, and he has a full width of the racetrack to use. He is saying run away, as now more drivers join the party. It looks like Wishon is with us now. So is Jerry DePiero and Mike Oswald. DePiero sneaks to the inside of the exit of Dingle Dell, and he's going to move past Rick Wishon ever so briefly. Wishon fights back at Sterling, and that is going to put them back into line for the moment. What a great bit of racing that was.
It's worked out pretty well for Stalker because now he's got a pro car in between him and the next car challenging for the lead of open class. Collins just touches a tiny bit of the grass on the outside. Wishon now needing to fend off DePiero 2nd and 3rd in their class. Oh, don't get out into the dirt and the marbles though, Jason Stalker. It's cost him a spot there, I think. Your top 3 in open class, soon to be all in a line.
Yeah, Jared Culnins then getting the position back on Jason Stalker. And Geordie Fike will try his best to join Rui Coimbra. as they continue their way on here. Oh, hello. Stalker getting back up the inside of Kalnin's there, coming out of the Indy circuit, and that's a poor exit for Jared Kalnins. It brings Rick Wishon right into the fold, and he's going to bump draft Jason Stalker on the racing line here. It looks like DePiero, and oh my god, Stalker and Kalnins, they've come together. They are both in the barrier, and that could very well be the end of the race for both of them.
Stalker's regrettably going nowhere. This is what happened. The two open class drivers pushing each other. How does Collins factor into that? I was trying to look from the helicopter.
Okay, I think I see what's happened here. So it looks like Rick Wishon was trying his best to maintain his line. Jared Kalnins sort of moved to the left just a little bit as they came up to that braking zone, and he ended up making rear quarter contact with Rick Wishon's front right. That sent Jared Kalnins into Jason Stalker, and then the both of them were out from there.
And with that, Rick Wishon leads open class from Jerry DiPiero, and Cameron Frederick ends up third in class. Leading top five drivers begin to break up a little bit here. Michael Folds half a second lead on Fox, has got half a second on Eugenio Palici, although that evaporates a little bit just now. And Donnie Moffat and Michael Coates completing this top five for the moment. Mitchell Peak is a little bit further away from the race leaders than he had been previously.
It looks like a bit of a breakaway for Folds and Fox, and Peak and Adams still sort of in the fight. Remember that we've got pit stops coming up for these drivers as well, so there's a lot of potential for those positions to be changed, and when you decide to pit is important at any circuit, let alone Brands Hatch, but I think it'll be especially important here. It's a difficult pit entry to nail, and I think it'll only take a difference of a few laps on a circuit that is traditionally quite hard to make passes on.
When I need trust and security, I think of Reece Gardner, so please help this make sense to me. Why has the pit lane speed here gone from 56 to 72 kilometers an hour, while the pit road speed at Watkins Glen has gone from 72 down to 64?
That is a very interesting point, which I have not been aware of and I have no answer for. So confidence and security you will not find here.
I am scared and alone in the dark of an uncaring universe.
Michael Derby's here as well in the background. Don't forget him.
He's more of a nihilist than I am, I do believe. All of this to say that 72 kilometers an hour, 45 miles an hour is the pit speed limit here at Brands Hatch for what is a rather short, rather narrow pit road. You will get in, get your pit stop and get out quite quickly here. So if you're in the leading group, it actually means you'll end up in traffic rather than behind traffic taking your stop.
So what that tells me is Folds just had a little bit of an off there. What that tells me is these leaders will try and extend the first part of this race as much as they possibly can. They'll run those tanks dry, and that'll minimize their chances of being stuck in traffic. The first driver to pit out of that front group will be the least advantaged, as Cameron Frederick and Sean Hayes fight over 15th place coming into Clearways and Clark Curve. We've got Kyle Genske right with them as well. Genske's trying to find a way through the middle on the way down the start-finish straight. Doesn't decide to take it, but Sean Hayes diving up the inside of Cameron Frederick, and here comes the chance for Genske again. They'll almost go three wide on the way up to the Druids hairpin. It's covered by Cameron Frederick, though. Not much else that Kyle Genske can do other than grab that one position off of Sean Hayes, who's back to the position he started in.
Just looked really clever through one from Kyle Genski to place himself to move up the next time. Really getting good exits seems to be paying off for him, because now he gets close to Cameron Frederick for 15th. If you're a pro class driver, you will get more points from your result by passing open class cars. Both classes are scored on a combined outright points basis.
Yeah, by the same token, if you're an open class driver, the more pro cars you have between yourself and your nearest rival, the better generally, and finish as high up as you can. Rick Wishon is doing that right at the moment here in the number 74, but he's got Jerry DiPiero right behind him, second place in open class. Got Mike Oswalt coming up on them in the pro class. So at the very least, Wishon will be hoping that Oswalt gets past DiPiero, because that's taking points away from Jerry, and it'll allow Rick a little bit more of a margin to work with here in terms of points total for this race. Look to the inside for the pink car of Mike Oswalt. It does not happen into Paddock Hill.
So typically you think of the middle third of the race as the pit window. We've completed the first third of the race. We're approaching the pit window, which ought to go until about 15 minutes remaining. And on cue, the first driver that's going to drive into pit lane is Mark Kruger.
Interesting. First non-crash related entry to the pits of this race. We'll see what he can do here. Going to be going long on the second stint. Little puff of smoke as he accelerates out of his pit box. And we'll see where that ultimately puts him. The front of our field is currently still about halfway around the circuit, so there's no danger of getting lapped if you pit at this point.
And it is quick through the lane because it's just a total, including the service for Mark Kruger, of 32 seconds. So the pit stops are super quick. I think we might see a couple more, just based on the radio that I'm hearing.
All right, we'll see who makes the jump. Whoa, hello. That's Mike Oswalt going for it there, and he was demonstrating right there. Rui Coimbra joining him as well. Oswalt demonstrating how difficult that pit entry is, because the natural line brings you all the way to the outside of Clark Curve, but pit entry's right there on the inside. It was a massive wiggle there for Mike Oswalt, and he only just got it slowed down in time.
So Coimbra's an interesting one. He was inside of the top 10. He breaks away, and yeah, that's just working for Oswalt. Long stop though. Didn't see a black flag. It's just a long stop for Oswalt. I've seen penalties here at Brands Hatch for cutting that green concrete on the entry. Oswalt was over a bunch of it, so immediately I looked for a black flag and didn't see one, but it's kind of behaving like there must have been one for Mike Oswalt here. If his total stop time is about 56 seconds, we'll know that was an unsafe pit.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Oswalt's, 58 seconds in the end, so it does look like that was an unsafe pit entry there for Mike Oswalt, even though the sim didn't necessarily flag it as such on my end, and it didn't show up on the broadcast either. So that's interesting. But regardless, that's a big blow to Mike Oswalt, who was steadily working his way up through the field. He'll have to settle for potentially a top 20 at best.
Michael Foles leading the race, runs wide through turn one, and Lincoln Fox will look to take that lead back as we enter the pit window here. They are beginning to battle it out up front, I think. Nope, Fox is going to have to yield there. Foles will hold on. They started to get away from Polici and Moffat and Coates, but they're going to be right back with our leaders with this kind of battling through turn one, through turn two, through turn three, and Foles holds on for now.
Yeah, this is a very nice bit of racing between our leaders here. Folds has the slipstream of the machine of Lincoln Fox behind, and looks like there's not going to be much of a chance there at Hawthorns, but it's really that first half of the circuit where we're seeing those big moves, the crossovers between these drivers. I think they've realized by now it's best to just stay single file across this part of the circuit. It ends up losing them a bit less time. That's Lincoln Fox with a wheel in the grass there. You definitely don't want that to happen at the exit of Dingle Dell, because the car's loaded up, and if you're not careful, you will spin right around.
Call that move the Kylie Minogue. We've got a couple heading for pit in. So they're going to let Folds go. Fox, Polici, and Coates are coming in. What did you see?
I saw Donnie Moffat cutting across the green concrete. So that's going to be an unsafe entry for him as well.
So here's Donnie Moffat's view. Oh, man. No, that's the biggest cut I think we've seen. That's ludicrous.
Yeah. There's no way he wouldn't get a black flag for that. Fox with a 15.6 second pit stop. That is the fastest we've seen so far. Polici a couple of seconds slower than that. So is going to lose out ever so slightly. But they come out in the territory of Rob Conahan, and Donnie Moffat is still at a standstill here. Kirill Bonda completing his pit stop behind will grab at least that position. And Lee Martin has been in there for a while too. I'm wondering if Martin made the same mistake.
Gee, they are tough on it here. So I think drivers that look like they've made that mistake, Mike Oswalt, Travis Hewitt, Donnie Moffat, Lee Martin. Ouch. It more than doubles your pit stop time. Those drivers who pitted from behind Michael Folds have left him alone here in the race lead. Michael Coates also staying out. Oh, hello. He enters on the rally stage.
Yeah, certainly making things difficult for himself there. Here's
the response. Should do it. That's how you're meant to enter the pit lane. Michael Folds gets it right. Michael Coates stays out. And so really we're looking for Folds versus Fox. Fox with that quick pit stop you pointed out. One lap later, Michael Folds is in.
It did seem, though, looking back on it, that Lincoln Fox didn't push as hard into the pits as he possibly could have. His rate of speed on entry into the lane wasn't as high as it probably could have been. So,
long stop actually, Folds, 21 seconds. Yeah, Lincoln Fox is going to go back into the net race lead. I'd also keep an eye on David Starr's pit stop time based on how much green concrete he went over. You are still held there as the people you entered pit lane with are going. Add Starb to the list.
Yep, that's another big blow to one of our competitors here today. Kyle Genski coming out of the pits there, and Sean Hayes will resume running there. So we are waiting on 12 cars still to come into pit lane. The entirety of our top 8, plus Rob Conahan, Jake DeGrand, and Leonardo Aguera. So let's see who ultimately gets that done, as it looks like Jordan Flowers has only just jumped out of the pits himself. I believe that makes it 11 cars yet to come into the lane. So we expect Adams and Peak to do. Adams is going to stay out, but Peak is going to go in, and it looks like he nailed that entry.
Yeah, you'd seriously hope so. Seeing most of the pit stops between 16 and 20 seconds. I think it is about 4 seconds per gallon, and you must select a whole number of gallons, but you can shut the pump off as it was halfway through. Left side tyres for Peak, 16 seconds, tidy stop. Lincoln Fox already gone, Michael Folds just going by there. That looks like net third at the moment.
Yeah, certainly does. working out all right for him. Makes sense that left side tyres are what you'd go for around this circuit. There's only 3 left-handers on this layout that require the right side tyres to be used. So go to change the tyres that are used the most, those being the right hands, those being the left hand side, sorry. Lefts and rights are always a bit difficult for me, but regardless, things are looking a bit spaced out the front of this field. Michael Coates still leading the way here, yet to come into the lane, 4 seconds ahead of Adams. Paul Murgatroyd and Todd Martin are the only real battle amongst the cars that have yet to come into the lane, and it looks like Coates is going to be going for the first 2/3 of the race being his first stint, probably pitting right at the end of the window.
So Murgatroyd and Martin staying out, Murgatroyd in. Looking for wherever your crew are at. For Murgatroyd's about there. It looks like he's going fuel only. Nope, just as I say it. There we go. Takes them a second to get the jack round to that side, perhaps. But it doesn't take them too long to change 2 tyres thereafter.
Certainly not. Rob Conahan joining him in the pit lane, but again, it's looking like a pretty long stop here for Paul Murgatroyd. And Rob Conahan is, we're just waiting to see if he manages to get away with it here. Actually, it looks like pit stops of over 20 seconds for the both of them. Jake DeGrand also coming in, racing with hand controls. Let's see how good this pit stop ends up being for him. Yet again, it's one that's over 15 seconds. I'm very impressed at the rate of pit stop completion for the likes of Fox, Coimbra, and Fike. The fact that they've been able to squeeze an extra couple of seconds out of it. It looks like DeGrand might have gotten a pit entry penalty.
We didn't see his entry, did we? So
no, we didn't.
Guess.
But we have clues.
I believe this is what's known as circumstantial evidence.
Michael Coates finally brings it in. So does Jerry DePiero. So Odyssey Adams will move to the lead for the moment. Be interesting to see where Coates comes out in all of this, because remember, he was right at the back of that top 5 pack. Michael Folds and Lincoln Fox already passed him here, and I'm seeing a car going slow at pit exit. It's Jake DeGrand, and this is going to make things difficult for Michael Coates. Good Lord. I have to wonder if that was a valid pit exit. I think it was. He just stayed within that purple line that you have to stay within to make it a legal pit exit. But yeah, Jake DeGrand evidently having plenty of issues getting that car going out of the lane.
I thought he was waiting for traffic, but if you're blocking the pit exit, then you become traffic there. I'm sure exactly at this point. Left with just a few cars that haven't stopped. Obviously Adams, Requishon, Cameron Frederick, and Todd Martin right now. Here's Todd Martin, and also Leonardo Guerra. Just the 5 of them. Lincoln Fox has a 4-second lead as net race leader at the moment. So the pit stop phase has worked really well for Fox, not so well for Folds or Coates. Adams coming in, Requishon coming in.
And then
I'm watching pit entries like a hawk, man.
Yeah, every time I come to Brands Hatch, I always keep an eye on it, because I think we both know from personal experience just how hard it is to get a good run into pits without running over that green concrete. Well, it looks to me like we have Todd Martin in there as well. And then there were 2 still yet to come into pit lane. Cameron Frederick leading the race for the moment. Leonardo Guerra down in P16 at the moment, still waiting on a stop from him.
always something to say about the pit entry here, Red Bull Ring and Okayama.
Absolutely. They're the toughest pit entries on iRacing, apart from, I'd say, probably Spa, actually. Spa has a pretty difficult pit entry to nail, but there aren't misleading cues like there are at Okayama and the like. So, yeah, it just goes to show, always practice your pit entry, because you never know what might come up.
Yeah, it's a part of the race. It's a corner like any other. If you practice turn 1 200 times, you should probably practice the pit entry at least 5. Cameron Frederick, the only driver yet to stop, is just ahead of Lincoln Fox, who is going to become the race leader. There's a tiny bit of time here amongst the traffic at Dingledale, and looking for the inside Sterling. Again, that's going to get you through, but cost you a little bit of time. Michael Folds now 3 seconds back and closing somewhat. Lincoln Fox, both the net race leader and the outright race leader now, as Frederick takes a very well-measured pit entry.
And he is the final car to complete the pit stop in this race. The field is cleansed, and yeah, Lincoln Fox is still out in front by about 2.8 seconds over Michael Folds. So it looks like Folds has made up some time. Lincoln Fox basically gained that formerly 4-second lead entirely through pit stop time. His pit stop about 5.5 seconds faster than that of Michael Folds, but Folds has really brought the pace here. 137.8 is the fastest lap of the race, which belongs to Michael Folds, and it looks like Folds was about 0.9 of a second, nearly a whole second faster than Lincoln Fox on the previous lap, and Fox is dealing with traffic occasionally, so this could be a charge forward from Michael Folds.
Fox lost about a second last lap to traffic. Doesn't seem to have lost out much this time, but that's been part of the difference. We'll see then with sort of 10-ish laps to go if running all alone is too much fuel burn for Lincoln Fox after that quick stop. Oh, that's just a tiny bit wide there. 2.8 seconds. And closing again is the gap between Fox and Folds. They've left the rest of the field behind. Michael Coates in third is nearly 10 seconds off the race lead. Jerry DiPiero has ended up as the leader of open class after Wishon's slightly long stop. And of course, Jason Stalker meeting the wall.
Yeah, things working out nicely for DiPiero. He's up 5 positions in the overall standings from where he started. So it's been a nice strong run from him. And to top it off, he has Hayes and Bonder in between himself and Wishon, and they are pro class cars. So that's an extra little buffer that Jerry DiPiero can have.
But aside from that top 3, this is where it's beginning to become crunch time again. Mitchell Peak's last lap was a little away from what you might want to do. Adams caught him. Eugenio Polici's been catching him. So here comes the accordion for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, this is a nice battle. Mitchell Peak up 3 places, Eugenio Polici down 3 places, and he'll be wanting a little bit more out of that. Adams is making up good time in the short term here.
Just monstered the curb in Dingledale there, more than Peak was willing to do, and similarly here. So Adams is throwing the car around, and Peak not so much. He's losing a bit of time. Quite a bit of time, actually. Suddenly, it's nose and tail.
Yeah, I mean, the mid-corner speed that Adams is able to pull off here is fantastic, and he's translated that into a great exit down the start-finish stretch, and it looks like Mitchell Peak is going to yield to him on the way into Paddock Hill Bend. Will he do the same for Polici, I wonder, who, now that I look at him, it seems that Polici has gained a tiny bit of damage to his front left. I wonder if that's going to be hurting his straight-line speed a little.
Didn't hurt his lap time the last 2 laps. He was still quicker than Adams and Peak. Peak really easily giving up that 4th place. Didn't much fight for it as Adams went through.
Things starting to close up again here through Pilgrim's Drop. I think Mitchell Peak might have... Oh, okay. He was a bit delayed on turn in there. Polici got to the inside a lot sooner. So I think Peak might be in a tiny bit of trouble here. I have to wonder, considering it was a 16-second pit stop for Peak versus 17 and 18 seconds for Polici and Adams respectively, is there a chance that Peak might not have enough fuel to get to the end on full power? Maybe that's the reason why he's taking it a bit easier into these braking zones. But then I think, well, surely we would see the same sort of behavior from the likes of Lincoln Fox, Rui Coimbra and Jordi Fike, who had similar pit stop times.
Yeah, and then also the apex speed in the drive off the corners is where Peak was also losing out. So it was sort of everywhere that the struggle was for Peak. But now looks pretty good through turn 1 that time, so hard to know precisely. Race lead comes down underneath 3 seconds. I think we're predicting 7 more to go, but it's always hard to know exactly in these timed races until you get a little bit closer to the event horizon.
My timing is showing me 5.5 laps to go for Lincoln Fox at the front of this field. So potentially a little bit less time to sort things out there. Adams, Peak and Polici continue their fight for 4th place. And now Peak is starting to ramp up the pressure again. But once more, you see that he's taking it very easy into Hawthorns, and Polici sees a chance to move up the inside. And that is move done for Eugenio Polici.
Yep, he goes to 5th. Mitchell Peak goes back to 6th. And Adams hasn't been hanging around either, so he's tried to pull away from that group, but now needs to worry about Polici once more. Race lead on this lap remains stable at 2.9 seconds from Lincoln Fox here to Michael Folds back there.
This is working out pretty well for Adams. He's now left Mitchell Peak behind, but Eugenio Polici is sticking with him, and Polici running about 1/10 of a second faster on that previous lap, despite having to make a pass in the middle of it. So let's see if Polici can pile the pressure on in these last 7.5 minutes. Meanwhile,
teammate Donny Moffat not as much of a factor after the pit lane penalty, so it's all on Polici, and it's all on Hayes, Bondar, and your open class leader Joe DiPiero briefly shuffled from 9th outright back into the 11th. He's watching these pro guys and he's just going to slot in behind them for the minute.
Yes, my meanwhile was talking about this specific battle, and they're continuing to fight for last position in the top 9. Meanwhile, Polici, it seems, has gotten past Adams and now sits in 4th place, and looking like a few tenths of a second between them at the moment. So Adams is not entirely out of this, and for that matter, Mitchell Peak isn't either. So we got 2 3-car battles in and around the top 10. still looking for what kind of move Kirill Bonder can try and pull off to get back past Sean Hayes here. Hayes up 8 positions, which is the second most places gained over the course of this race. The Hard Charger award currently belongs to Kyle Genske, who sits in 13th place, up 9 spots.
And there's a battle in the I Got Penalised Entering Pit Lane Cup between David Starb and Lee Martin. So 1 minute 1 second plays a 59-second pit stop. And they found each other here. Starb and Martin still on the lead lap and just.
Now is the point where the intensity starts to rise, because you're aware that you've only got about 4 laps remaining in the race, and this is the point where you have to nail your speed. You have to try and, if you're being chased, keep the car behind you. If you are the one chasing, look for a place to make the move cleanly and consolidate the position on the way out of the corner. It's all well and good throwing it up the inside, but if you don't have a plan for the exit of the corner, you might as well not make the move at all.
Not afraid of a little bit of apex curb at Dingledell in this battle. Literally getting ahead, but Adams still keeping the battle alive. So it's about 4 minutes 50 on the clock as the leader crossed the start-finish line. My head,
My
that feels
timing's
like 3.
saying 3 laps. Yeah. Could be a little more, could be a little less. It might only be a matter of seconds determining whether or not we go an extra lap. I've certainly called enough races in my time that's happened in.
And that lead gap's opened up a tiny bit more as well. Michael Fold's losing a tiny bit of time. So Fox has got a little bit of the margin to try to canter it home. Traffic ahead, I think, is Jason Stalker and Travis Hewitt battling each other for 26th and 27th, or P3 and P4 in the I Entered Pit Lane Unsafely Cup.
For sure. Michael Coates just made his way through on them. Coates running in 3rd place, and it looked a bit intense on the way into Hawthorns. It's always difficult when you're a lead lap driver, you're fighting for a top position, and then you come up on 2 drivers who are way down the field having their own fight. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. You can have the pace to get past them, but there's a part of you that doesn't really want to interfere with their battle. Regardless, you still have to look after your own race and maintain your gaps to the cars ahead.
The onboard from Adams right now. They're trying to carve their way through. Polici goes ahead of Stalker there. They currently sit behind Travis Hewitt, though. Whoa, that is way too much grass and curb from Polici as he's gone wide. And Adams is now climbing and clambering all over him once again. And there's only 1 second for the lead of open class. Rick Wishon took time out of Jerry DiPiero last lap. And that is the gap between them. Jerry DiPiero in orange, Rick Wishon in green is on the hunt.
Yeah, this is looking interesting here. Can Rick Wishon take back the open class lead that he started the race in? This will be quite the fight to think about. They both got slipstream. DiPiero has Bonder and Hayes still up ahead of him. Rick Wishon has driven himself into that position, only just getting a whisper of slipstream off of Jerry DiPiero.
We're doing minute
yeah.
38. Lincoln Fox crossed the start-finish line with a minute 39 on the clock. It is absolute knife edge. I don't see the white flag. I think we're going 2 more.
Yeah, looks like it to me. Well, we'll wait and see. Unless we get taken by surprise. So the fight will continue between DiPiero and Wishon for the open class lead. Still got Polici and Adams fighting over 4th overall. Kyle Genske and Todd Martin, the pack for 13th and 14th. And we have David Starb and Lee Martin fighting over 22nd position way down the field. And they're keeping each other very close company, despite having absolute no man's land either side of them.
Yes, return to 1st and 2nd in the penalised entering pit lane cup, Starb and Martin. My usual experience is if we are super on the edge, that it seems to err on the side often of not throwing the white flag, and then we get the white flag next lap, and then the checkered flag. So I think Lincoln Fox, the race leader here, with a little bit of traffic, 20 seconds still left on the clock, is going to get around the final corner and see the white flag this time. Nothing from any timing source says that the white flag has already flown, and they can't throw the checkered flag without throwing the white flag. So Lincoln Fox is looking for the checkered flag at the end of this one and wins the race, but it was real close there, yeah.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Looks like it aired on the side of ending the race a lap early. Well, Michael Folds will duly take 2nd place, our top 2 in the same order they started in, with Michael Coates getting the final position on the podium. A fantastic drive from the 213 there. And we'll see who wins the battle between Jerry DiPiero and Rick Wishon for the open class lead. They are still fighting, and it looks like DiPiero has it, despite the run from Rick Wishon out of clearways. It is going to be DiPiero, who takes the open class victory.
0.2 of a second. That came down to the wire right at the end there. Looks like Cameron Frederick's going to get 3rd in that class, just ahead of Paul Murgatroyd. Rob Conahan is ahead of Peter Rosorkis at the moment, racing towards the end.
Good battle between these two. And it will fall in the favour of Conahan. And finally, David Starb and Lee Martin will be the last there. Mike Oswald there finishing down in 20th place. Another driver who really pushed hard on the way into pit lane. David Starb wins the fight with Lee Martin there. And it looks like those are going to be your final finishers crossing the line, David. Another entertaining race here at a classic circuit.
Can't help but feel like I've been robbed of about 2 miles, though. But Lincoln Fox will be very happy with that. Perfect pit stop execution when it was challenging for others, and others seemed to have maybe taken too much fuel or other things like that. Lincoln Fox emerged at the halfway point with a race lead that they managed to a victory ahead of Michael Folds, Michael Coates, Eugenio Polici, Odyssey Adams, Mitchell Peake, Ruby Coimbra, Geordie Fike, Sean Hayes, and Trul Bondar as our top 10. Jerry DiPiero coming away with more points for the Open Class Championship in a close fight with Rick Wishon and Kyle Genske, Todd Martin, Cameron Frederick, Paul Murgatroyd, Brian Chabelski, Rob Conahan, Peter Rosorkis, and Mike Oswald as our top 20 at a very well-attended Spec-5 World Tour race at Brands Hatch. The rest of the cars that finished on the lead lap were Mark Kruger, David Starb, and Lee Martin. Jordan Flowers was 1 lap down with Leonardo Guerra and Travis Hewitt and Jason Stalker and Jake DeGrand. Donnie Moffat and Jared Collins ended up retiring relatively early in this one.
Yes, so a less than ideal race for some, but plenty of good racing to be had up the front, and plenty of difference on pit stop strategy as well. It always raises my curiosity, the difference that a gallon or so of fuel can make Lincoln Fox largely won that one through getting a quicker pit stop time than Michael Folds. But you can tell 100% that Fox and Folds are two of the biggest protagonists of this championship so far. Polici finishing off the podium in this particular round, but should still be holding on to a good position in the championship. He can take that through to the next round and maybe be in contention for victories later on.
Well, it doesn't seem like our winners from either class are going to come by to chat with us, unfortunately. So we're unsuccessful fox hunting, and I guess we are in recession because we've got no GDP either.
Yeah, certainly. That's a little bit of an economic downturn here at HJBC.
We're back in business.
Are we?
Because Jerry Zipiero is going to join us, the open class winner. Well, congratulations there.
Thank you very much. I guess back to back, huh? That's not easy to do.
It's going to extend your lead as well. Some really quick drivers, though, in class. We saw really strong performance from Jason Stalker and Rick Wishon today.
Yeah, I think Jason had that mishap. I saw it right in front of me too, so that was bad. I feel bad, and then Rick did a really good job. I had a really hard time with Rick. I couldn't get past him, and then I guess the pit strategy probably got me in front of him, but he caught up to me. I was kind of worried about that whole fuel thing, so I was kind of taking it easy. Saw where he was, and he almost got me at the end because I made a little mistake, but it was all good.
So how's the experience with Spec-5 World Tour been this season? 2 rounds in, pretty exciting all throughout?
Yeah, this is I think this is maybe my third league race that I've done with them. I did, I guess, the pre-COVID one, and then I stopped for a while, and I came back now. It's really good, and you guys are doing a fantastic job too with the commentating. Got to say that.
Well, we appreciate it. And I guess looking at 10 rounds, that this might not be the last time we speak, going to Summit Point Raceway in 2 weeks' time for the next round. How do you think you'll go there?
That is one of my favorite tracks, actually. Hopefully it goes well. A lot better than, I like that track more than I do Brands Hatch. So we'll see how that goes. Should be good. Should be fun. These guys are good. These guys are very, very competitive.
That gives us plenty to look forward to, and we look forward to seeing you then, Jerry.
All right, thank you.
Try to put Jerry back where I found him as we wrap things up from Brands Hatch. There is a week off, if I've done those numbers correctly, before we go to round 3 of the Spec-5 World Tour.
Yes, indeed. Next week off, we're going racing again on October the 23rd at Summit Point Raceway for another 45-minute race to kick off the second part of this season. A classic track, and I think most iRacers will have had their first taste of this sim in an MX-5 around Summit Point. There's no excuses. Everyone should be on their A game there in 2 weeks' time, David.
The country roads are calling me, West Virginia. You'll see it live here on HJBC, so make sure you subscribe, drop us a like if you feel like it, and we can't wait to bring you Spec-5 World Tour next time, round 3 from Summit Point.